Welcome to Lights Lounge, your weekly home for all things Las Vegas Lights FC. We're here every single week in 2025. You can join us for a deeper dive into everything that happens on the club, including match previews and analysis alongside a new guest every single week. Right now, the Lights are finishing a 3-game East Coast road trip Sunday at Rhode Island in desperate need of a win to keep up in the playoff race. Luckily, the teams in the fight for that 8th place spot have also dropped losses in recent days, keeping the race tight. After that, the team's back at home for the final home match of the season, right here at Cashman Field. When this episode drops, we'll have kicked off Fan Appreciation Week with a special announcement. Goalkeeper Carver Miller has re-signed a new contract with the club. So alongside me today to chat about all of that and specifically his new contract, I have the man of the people, Carver Miller. Carver, welcome to the lounge.
Hi, Will. Thank you for having me.
Excited to have you here. Excited to have you in Vegas for 2 more years.
Yes.
New contract extension announced this morning. So let's tackle that major news. Why did you want to stay here in Las Vegas?
Couple answers for that. I think we're building something really special here. The management, the coaching staff, the players here. I think we're building something that can continue for the next few years, and that's why I wanted to stay. But it comes down to them believing in me. Had a tough off season last year, where not a lot of teams really were reaching out or looking for me for this coming season. And so when Las Vegas reached out, I jumped onto that contract. I knew it was going to be probably a slow, long season for me this year, but they believed in me throughout the whole year. And the moment they said we wanted, to stay for the next 2 years, I said, this is where I want to be. I told my agent, make it work. And so, I was very excited that they saw eye to eye with me, and I'm very grateful that they wanted to keep me along for another 2 years.
You're still a really young goalkeeper. You just turned 21 this year. As you're looking ahead to these next 2 seasons, what are your goals? What are you wanting to improve on, and where do you see yourself at the end of this contract?
I forget sometimes that I'm still young.
Because you've been in the pro game for so long.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit more, but it does, you have so many stops for such a young player. So
I forget, but I think I still want to become a seasoned pro. I think until you get to a certain age, you can continue to learn what to do on and off the pitch, if that's gym work, kind of small things you can tweak during the season at training. So I obviously want to become a better person on and off the field. I think that just comes with who I am. I want to become a better man. I want to become a better leader. So that's a mini goals that I've set for myself off and on the field. As a player, obviously I want to work on my feet. I think the way we play, that is something that would be very beneficial for the team. Watching Ryko this whole year has shown how important that is and how helpful that can be to leading to goal opportunities, scoring chances, and that sort of thing. Some of those, obviously, I want to just continue being the positive person that I think I am, and bringing positive vibes to training every day. There's some things I want to do on and off the field, but most importantly, I want to win. I want to bring wins and shutouts to this team and to this community. And so hopefully that occurs in the next 2 years.
you turned 21 on June 26th.
Yes, I did.
Has your Vegas experience changed since that date?
I'm not saying it's just because there's cameras, but no, it has not.
Yeah.
I'm not a big going out type of person. I'm very stick with my friends, with my family. We've talked about this before. I'm very outdoorsy. But no, that hasn't changed it too much.
Okay.
Sometimes, that allows, you can go to the pub and watch soccer sometimes, right?
Right.
So that has opened the doors for some of that stuff, but not so much. I think it was more of a, I lived in Europe, so I feel like for some Americans that might have been a bigger jump, turning 21. But as a pro and kind of who I am as a person, it hasn't been a big life-changing moment for me yet.
Do you have any favorite outdoors experiences you've had while in Vegas?
We talked about Spring Valley, Mount Charleston, that area. Vaughn and I actually went up to Bryce Canyon a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
Bryce is awesome.
Yeah, the drive is quite long.
Yeah.
We pushed through and did it in a day. But I think something I didn't really know much about Vegas and the surrounding area of Vegas. But I'm very pleased and surprised with how much there actually is to do out here.
Yeah.
Everything, you got Cali, Utah, Arizona has some beautiful spots to go as well. But I'm a big fan of the Mount Charleston area. It's not too far from home. You get that, if you go early enough, you get that kind of Pacific Northwest feel of the pine. You know, it's a little bit cooler in the morning. You have to put a sweater on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love going out there and kind of clearing my mind.
Yeah, it's a nice escape in the middle of the summer here as well. And you get up there and it's only 80 degrees and you're like, wow, this is an oasis up here. So other stuff you're doing off the field, Carver, you're big in the community. And I think, you know, a story I want to share on the pod is like when you first got here, we had texted because I coordinate your announcement and all of that kind of stuff. And then the first thing that you texted me, you were like, hey, like, who does community here? Like, who can I connect with? Do I connect with you? Do I connect with someone else? And so I brought you over. I introduced you to Ariel Greenberg, our group sales manager, who leads up some of that community stuff for us, and just introduced you. And you were like, what can I do? What are you guys doing? How can I get involved? And I feel like every time I turn around, you're somewhere else in the community. You're volunteering either on your own or through the team. So I just want to know where that passion comes from and why that's something that's so important to you.
I think it comes from my mom. My mom is a high school teacher. She's devoted her whole life to giving back to the community, and especially to kids. And I think that's probably the good side of me. It comes from my mom a little bit. And I've always been like that since a young kid. I've always wanted to give back. I see people out in the street and I wanted to give money, give food, and that sort of thing. I think I have an eye for some hard things in the world, and instead of just walking by it and turning my head, I usually try and walk towards it and help. Obviously, the platform that I am able to be in now with being a pro soccer player allows me to, you know, connect with you and connect with other people in the community quite easier than a lot of people, you know, have a tougher time than that. So, I think coming here, I knew it would be a long season for me, playing wise and that sort of thing. So I really wanted to leave my mark with the community. And I thought, you know, instead of just sitting here and, you know, just training, I really wanted to leave some good in this community. Obviously, I didn't know I was going to be able to stay here for 2 more years.
Right.
I think that's a thing that soccer players and pro soccer players try to do, is not just let the year go by, because we know we move around a lot. And so I wanted to leave Vegas better than when I got here. And it was quite easy. You welcomed me with open arms. This whole staff did here, and then especially the community. You know, going in, you know, I'm the number 3, but they didn't judge me for that at all. They were, you know, the kids, whenever I walk into elementary schools, they have big smiles on their faces, and that is very touching because that was me once. And so the community welcomed me with open arms. And allowed me to be me, which is a very special thing.
What are some of the favorite things you've done this year in the community?
If
I had to make you choose a few stories or something.
I think anything related to elementary schools. Anytime we do like an appearance where I kind of introduce myself and tell my story to the kids, they always have great questions that I love to answer. I actually did one yesterday at a local private elementary school. And they, you know, I walk in and they just have big smiles. And I know that me being there and asking them questions and listening to them will hopefully, help them pursue their dreams, whether that be soccer or anything else. But also it warms my heart. And it makes my day better. It makes my week better. And that also gives me reasons to go out on the field and work hard. Is because those kids have dreams of what I'm doing. And to not waste any time on the field, it's a good reminder to go out there. We also did one with the homeless shelter here in Vegas, and that is also maybe a little less rewarding, but it's more touching to the heart, and seeing that how lucky we are and how lucky I am to be able to do what I love. And luckily through my life, I haven't had too many struggles, and to see people that have had, you know, the short end of the stick in life, and just listen to their stories as well. You know, connect through sports and through literature and that sort of thing. That one, probably you can ask my family, but that one left me thinking for the next couple of days after that one.
I was at that one as well.
Yeah, you were.
And we took some pizza, and it wasn't anything crazy, right? It was just a night at that shelter, and we delivered some pizza and stuff, and we just sat down and had authentic conversations with everyone that was there. And those types of experiences will really ground you in your experience,
yes, it will.
and make you thankful for where you are, and really remind you like what's truly important, and that authentic connection, which I think was pretty cool. How does staying here for the next 2 years and sort of having that more guaranteed stability allow you to put more roots down in the community? Like, are you excited about anything? Being able to do like something over a longer term?
Absolutely. I think, first of all, that I already have my name kind of in the community has helped a lot, allowing me to maybe for the next 2 years, maybe doing even more for the community. A lot of this stuff has been appearances and trying to get Las Vegas out there.
And kind of like one-offs here or there. Right. So.
And it's been something I've been thinking about, but maybe having a charity of my own, or working towards, helping kids in the specific way I want, to help them in, or maybe create a charity that allows me to put what I love and what I believe in back in the community. So that, having the fact that I'm going to be here for 2 more years allows that a little bit, to maybe dream a little bit more, or, put the works into that sort of stuff. But it also allows me to bring in new fans, and the fans that, the season ticket holders know me quite well. And so maybe allowing more fans to come in and watch us and support us. I think it's a big step for me, to feel that I can really do some good here for 2 more years. And I think Vegas has really, allowed me to be me, and that pushes me to wanting to do more of this, and reaching out to the community.
It's awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about you on the field.
Okay.
Because I don't want to lose sight of that, right? Like this year, as you mentioned, sort of mostly as the number 3 goalkeeper. You did get 1 appearance and 1 start this year, which was in the USL Jagermeister Cup here at Cashman Field. Ended up being a 2-0 win over Spokane Velocity. You got your shutout. You got your man of the match. It was 2 days after your birthday. It was on June 28th, just 2 days after. What was that experience like, getting your first appearance for the Lights?
Well, I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so I was born in Moscow, Idaho, and my grandparents lived near Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
So that was special for me a little bit. My grandparents got to watch it on their live cable, no streaming services or anything like that.
Oh, because they're in like the Spokane DMA.
Yeah,
cool.
And I'm sure it still took a while for them to get it on.
I'm sure.
But they were able to get it on. So that, was a special moment for me. It had been a long few months before that. As a competitor and as an athlete, I want to play. But I knew what my job was coming in, and that was being a positive guy, getting better as a player and as a pro on and off the field, and helping Nico and Raiko prepare for the weekend. And so I wasn't too disappointed in knowing, each weekend that was kind of the routine of what it was going to look like for me. But I was very, very grateful that everyone in the club and the coaching staff thought that I deserved the opportunity. I think Gio, he came to me 10 days before, and he said, "Hey, you've earned this." Maxie came as well and said, "You earned this." And I think it was a little bit of, oh wow, that's that's why I was doing all this, to get a little bit of a nod from the coaching staff, like, "Hey, you've worked hard and you've earned this opportunity." I think I didn't think too much of it for the first few days, but then when it came to like Thursday, I think we played Thursday.
I think it was a midweek game.
Yeah, it was a midweek game. And so once it came to like Tuesday, the nerves started kicking in a little bit.
Reality set in a little bit, right?
Yeah, but I have to be honest, my teammates and the coaching staff made it extremely easy for me. They made me feel comfortable. They made me feel confident. Nico and Raiko did a great job all week, making sure, I'm still laughing and having fun, but, helping me when they see an opportunity to make me feel more confident and maybe look for certain things during the game. And that's massive for a goalkeeper, because we build off of playing and kind of the routine of playing and the pressing and that sort of stuff, like the picture of what we see. And when you're out of that, it kind of takes maybe a game, or hopefully shorter than a game, to get that kicked in. And so they did a great job of helping me see the picture, what our plan was. They built it a little bit around me, make sure I got some touches in early during the game, just so I could feel comfortable and settled in. And it helped that we scored early. Stefan with a great penalty, and then Knight obviously at the end of the half. And so yeah, I think it was a whole team win. When you said I won man of the match, I was a little shocked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they really helped me get prepared for that. And I have the coaching staff. I owe them a great thank you for preparing me that way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Stefan and Knight are forwards. They're going to get plenly of man of the matches in their career.
That's a good point.
You got to give it to the goalkeeper occasionally for a shutout. Any like saves or moments from that match stick out to you for any particular reason?
Yeah, I think, well, there was one late in the second half with maybe 3 or 4 minutes left to go, and a shot came in, and it wasn't too hard, but I let it bounce. And I didn't see the striker, I think it was their right winger, come in pretty fast. And so it was a little more of a stressful scenario that I put myself into, but I picked it up and cleaned it up. But when that was all happening, I looked up and Gennaro was screaming and had his hand on his head. And he was nervous, and he came to me and said, I thought that was some trouble. So that comes to mind. But obviously just anything to do with passing, I think I really try and pride myself off of that. And, you know, I had a goal kick that I dropped into Val, and that we then played out of that. And I think that just showed to myself more than anything that I was feeling comfortable and confident, and that I could play out the game plan that we had. And more than anything, that just showed that, hey, I can, you know, if you don't play much, you sometimes forget that you have the capabilities to perform and win games. And so that was, when I did that, I was like, okay, this is going to keep going well, and that I can really believe in who I am and what I bring to the table.
Yeah, I think commentators talk about that a lot. They're like, oh, young goalkeeper's in the lineup tonight. Yeah. It's important for him. Like, oh, he got that first save, or he got that first pass off. It's important for his confidence. And it's interesting you reflect that feels accurate, right? Like that is actually getting a few of those early touches, dropping in a good goal kick, touching the ball with your hands for the first time. It's just like...
Yeah, because goalkeepers, it's a very mental position. And I tend to get in my head a lot sometimes. And I think it's similar to maybe pitchers in baseball in that sense. And I think if you can, it sounds silly, but if you can just do something that's simple that you do a bunch of times, if you just do that, then that the nerves kind of flush out, and that confidence kind of kicks in, and it reminds your brain that, hey, you've been here a bunch of times. It's no different than a training session. And then you just, you know, and then when you feel comfortable, you're allowed to do, maybe you can push the limits a little bit more. You know, you could play it down the middle, maybe that you wouldn't have done it if you were nervous. So yeah, that allows you to be your authentic self.
You mentioned like being a player that maybe gets in your head a little bit. What, other than what you just described, do you have any strategies for how you like break yourself out of that cycle that you've learned over the years?
Yeah, I think routines. I mean, as you're a runner, so I'm sure routines, you know, a routine can definitely help that. I am also a big believer in sports therapy and talking to someone after the fact or before games. And I think that was another big step for me becoming a pro, was, you know, realizing that the mental side is kind of hard to fix just on your own. And if you can get a trained professional, you know, that knows how to manage pro athletes and the way they think, that's definitely very beneficial for yourself. And then, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just taking a couple deep breaths always helps. And I don't get too hyped up, or I'm not a big fan of too much loud music before a game. Just to be as calm and as relaxed as possible allows me to, maybe if something kind of goes south, that I can recenter myself. And if that's sometimes, you know, restrap the gloves, or, you know, push them together, make them tighter, just sort of things that you can reset, and maybe think about positive moments that you've had during that game or during that week, is always a helpful thing as well.
You've referenced a few times like the role of a number 3 and the role of bringing good vibes and helping Nico and Raiko be prepared for the weekend. I think you often see in professional football, it's very hard for the goalkeeper pecking order to change once it's set through preseason. Preseason feels a critical time, right? And then that pecking order sometimes changes, but is often pretty set in stone. What do you view as the role of a third goalkeeper? And what do you bring to the table as a third goalkeeper week to week on match days, all of that?
Yeah, I don't bring a lot of Spanish. Nico and I got the German down, of course. But my Spanish, I unfortunately can't translate for Raiko, and if it need be. But no, I think as a third goalkeeper, trying to keep the vibes positive is, in general, if it's in the GK union or as the team, is a massive job. And I think it's sometimes forgotten about that you just need guys, good locker room guys, guys that try and bring smiles and laughter onto the pitch. It's quite hard to do sometimes, if you're not feeling great yourself. But at the end of the day, I think that's a big part of my job. And then obviously preparing them and pushing them. If I have a few weeks of poor performances during training, then that's not going to push them. So I think a third goalkeeper works extremely hard as well and pushes them, still trying to fight, to move up that pecking order. That's something that I also strongly believe in, because then that makes Nico and Raiko also work extremely hard, and then that will only be better for the team, and which then they'll perform better, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so, I think a little bit of that. I think it's also, as a third goalkeeper, it's just figuring out what you can do for the team, if that's get water, that sort of stuff. And, not be ashamed of that. That's just, I'm lucky to be a pro athlete. And if that means I have to pick up the cones after then so be it. And so, I think it's definitely, you're doing a lot of work for other people. But, when the team wins, you get rewarded for that. Or in my instance, I get rewarded for that with a long contract. And that is, at the end of the day, you're doing this for the team and for yourself. And so you always kind of think about that sort of stuff.
I think it's the right philosophy. You have to make yourself irreplaceable. Yeah. Right. And at the end of the day, like, the harsh reality of pro sports is that a lot of cogs in the machine are often somewhat replaceable. And so how do you find the way that you make yourself irreplaceable to the team? That can be through performances in the field, that can be through what you do off the field, that can be through how you are in the locker room, and it's often really a combination of all of those things. Fans can often, I think, look at just like pure performances and it's like, did we re-sign this guy or did we not? And it's no fault of their own. They don't really have visibility into, like, is that guy a locker room cancer? Is that guy really difficult to work with? Does he never really work with the community? Does he not really help the team's vibes moving forward? All of those things are important when you're in contract negotiations, when you're trying to find a new team, and your reputation will follow you everywhere. And so I think you have the right philosophy about it. I want to ask a little bit more about that, because I just think it's like an interesting topic. Whenever you're the backup goalkeeper going into a game, right, you're going to be on the bench. How do you prepare for that? When I was a player, I always found it a little bit hard to be starting on the bench, because if you're starting the game, you're starting the game, then you can really lock in on Thursday, get your nutrition right, get your sleep right. I feel like it can be really easy to slip out of those good habits when you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be playing. And then all of a sudden, the starting goalkeeper, gets injured in warm-ups, and now you're playing, and you're like, oh man.
Or they switch the lineup or something.
Yeah, something happens, right? And so I'm just curious, how you prepare and how you deal with that scenario.
I would say not much changes, whether I'm the number 3 or the number 1 or the number 2. I think that comes with being a pro. Being a pro soccer player is 24/7. And we get some time off, and we do, then you get to enjoy that, but it's about being ready and being prepared and preparing yourself to do what you can do for the team. And I think it sometimes changes. If you're the number 2, when you find out that you're not starting, then you allow Raiko or whoever's starting to get more of the reps, of course. So I think during training that changes a little bit. If you're starting, you get the first reps. You kind of dictate if you want 4 reps or 6 reps and that sort of thing. And so that the on the field stuff obviously kind of changes, but mentally, I think it hopefully for me it stays the same. Obviously, you get in ruts sometimes, and it's hard to get out. But with that, you got to get back to enjoying soccer and loving soccer, and taking the mini games in training, the 6v6s or the 10v10s and that sort of thing as your game day. And so, yeah, I think it shouldn't change. For me, it doesn't change much. I might be a little bit more talkative or a little bit more relaxed maybe if I'm the number 2. If I'm the number 3, obviously, Coach Maxey's been awesome with me, and so we get a session in on game day, especially if it's a home day. And so, yeah, I think that also comes with a number 3. Just because you're not rostered, you still got work to do. And pride yourself on that. It can definitely be, it's hard, seeing your name not rostered every week. But you still, you ask Coach Chris or you ask Coach Max, hey, can we come in on Saturday? Can we do a gym session? Can we do something outside? And then it feels like, hey, it wasn't a waste. You are now maybe even a step ahead than some other people. And so I think as a number 3, make sure you get your work in. And then as a number 2, if you find out that you're not playing, make sure that you get the number 1 prepared. When I have played, the number 2 has always done a great job, especially Nico this year. When I played, he was fantastic. He made sure I felt ready, prepared. And then, I've had number 2s in the past that have been the opposite, and that, kind of can get in your head, and that sort of thing. The vibe on match day might not be as healthy and positive. So I would say it doesn't, hopefully, I don't think it should change much of how you prepare, get your sleep, eat correctly, get your pre-match warm up and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously on the field that it can change sometimes.
Final one before we move on. You mentioned Maxey, the goalkeeper coach here. You've worked with a lot of goalkeeper coaches across quite a few stops in your youth and pro career. What do you like about Maxey's style? And I guess what can you say about Maxey? What can you say about Maxey?
Maxey is, first of all, besides him being an incredible coach, he is one of the best people that I've met through this journey. I've had, as you said, I've had a lot of goalkeeper coaches, but Maxey is very personable. He makes sure you, as a person, Carver, you're feeling good, you're fit, your family's okay, your mentality is doing all right. So I think he checks in on us every day before training. He kind of runs us through what we're doing, and just he makes you feel like you're really part of the team. He's got nicknames for everybody.
What's your nickname?
This is where my Spanish kicks in.
Okay.
Chiquito.
Okay.
Which is I think it means little boy.
Okay.
That's a funny
Omar,
story.
confirm.
Omar, is that?
Yeah. Thumbs up from Omar.
He was calling me that in English at the beginning of the year. And I was like, hey, Maxey, any new nickname ideas? And he said, yeah, we'll call you Chiquito. And me not knowing any Spanish was like, okay. And then I later found out that it meant little boy in Spanish.
He just translated it. That's incredible. What are Nico and Raiko's nicknames? Raiko
is Pantalon, Panther.
Okay.
And then Nico is either, let's see, NA, his initials, of course. But yeah, and then Raiko calls me Car Wash for some reason. He thinks that's hilarious. Yeah, he thinks it's hilarious. And so that's kind of come along as well as one of my nicknames. But no, Maxey is, you have spent a lot of time with him as well. He's just an incredible guy, family man, and is prideful about doing as much as he can to prepare us. On the field, it's a little bit different. He has that Argentinian style, South American style. And I've obviously been trained in the American and German system. But I think that's only been a benefact for me. It's been very beneficial for me. It's, I've worked on a spin move that the South Americans, Raiko does that. And it's in the South American goalkeeper culture. And sort of that thing it's a different style. And I've implemented some of the things that he's taught me into me as a goalkeeper. And my fitness has gone up and that sort of thing. So on the pitch, I think I've gotten a lot better in certain scenarios of being a goalkeeper. And I think I've gotten a lot faster in that sort of, I can do 4 or 5 reps with a shorter break than I could have done maybe before I got here. But at the end of the day, Maxey is someone I want to work hard for. I want to do well so he looks good.
Yeah.
And I think all three of us in the goalkeeper union pride ourselves on that.
We'll get Maxie on the pod.
Yeah.
Well, we'll sit him down with Gabe on the pod, and we'll
his
do
English
that.
is good enough. He
His English
doesn't
is good,
think
but
his English is.
Yeah, I've had him do 1 or 2 English interviews with like local TV stations this year, and he's so stressed out every time. So stressed out. I'm like, Maxie, you are completely fluent in this language. Like, stop selling yourself short. But he just like he gets a little scared. So we'll get him here with Gabe in Spanish, and we'll hopefully get that later this year for everyone. But let's move on. I want to talk about how you got here and your journey. You referenced earlier being born in the Pacific Northwest area. How long were you there? And because then everything that is online picks up with you in Charlottesville, Virginia, with like your youth soccer and stuff. So talk me through what your early childhood looked like.
Yeah, so I've bounced around all over the place, America and Germany mostly. So yeah, I was born in Idaho. That's where my parents grew up, and so yeah, was born there, and then we moved to Virginia when I was 3.
Okay.
And so that was, Virginia is my home. So yeah, we started in, Idaho, moved to Virginia, and then this is where it gets kind of complicated. My dad, for his job, he gets a sabbatical every 5 years.
Okay.
And he would have a whole year off. And as a family, we would then move to Germany and spend a year in Germany. And in between those 5 years,
why Germany?
So he's a German law professor.
Okay.
At a university in Virginia.
Okay.
And so he teaches German law and constitutional law, which obviously in the name, he's over there a lot. And so, yeah, so then he travels there a lot. He's there right now. But so as a kid, we would go with him a lot. So in the summers, when we had school break, we would go to Germany and go to school there.
Oh, okay.
And so
were you learning were you fluent in German pretty early on?
Yeah, been fluent my whole life.
Okay. Did they raise you bilingual?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
I learned it not in the school setting. I learned it just by living there, hearing it a lot, watching a lot of German TV, reading a lot of German books. We grew up, we didn't have a TV or cable or anything like that until I was a little bit older, but we had a DVD player. And the only thing we had, only 3 things. We either had operas on DVD, anything German related, so German shows, German movies, German documentaries, and then we had, I don't know if you're familiar with the Tour de France.
Yep.
We had those, so each year you can buy a DVD. I don't know if you can do it anymore, but back in the day, my dad would buy the DVD and it had all 21 stages on it. And so that's all we could really watch. So not a lot of kids came over to watch TV with me.
That is incredible. Just like German documentaries and Tour de France.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And so
here you are playing college soccer or playing professional soccer and not cycling.
Well, what
happened to your cycling career?
It never really took off. But yeah, so my dad especially really pushed the German language and the German culture in my life, from my sister and I.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that, we would go there we were almost there every year in my childhood.
Okay.
In some form, if it would be a whole year or 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've almost always have been in Germany for at least a couple of weeks every year.
Fascinating. So while you were in Virginia, though, for like your normal school year, I think you started off with the soccer organization of the Charlottesville area, which I assume everyone just calls SOCA.
Yep. Soca.
Okay, one or the other. Yeah. I think you were there like as a young player before you kind of jumped into the development academy world. Was that the youth club you were at like as a young kid for most of it?
I was at SOCA, and this is another fun fact. I don't know if they have this anymore in the club soccer world, but there were like 3 levels. We had Classic, Premier, and Elite.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I never made Elite.
Okay.
So I was either on Classic or Premier. And I love telling this story because it just shows, what people say when you're young, it doesn't really matter. And as long as you keep believing in yourself and you have a great support system, then, the sky's the limit. And so I love telling that story, especially to younger people and younger kids that I maybe train back at home or when I meet them in the community. Sometimes they ask, how do I do this? It must have been quite easy for you or that sort of thing. And I love telling that story because, I think a lot of kids get in that world, and they're told you're a classic player or you're a premier player and you're not the best in your age group. And that I've learned doesn't really matter as long as you have the work ethic. Then and you have the belief in yourself, then, you know, like I said before, the sky's the limit. So yeah, I started at Saka, a couple years at Classic, and then I bumped up to Premier.
Okay.
And then I know you're from the East Coast, so then I went over to Richmond.
Right. Which is the Richmond Development Academy.
Yeah. Richmond United, and that's, you know, Charlottesville is a smallish town where I'm from. And so if you really want to work your way up in pro sports, you usually have to leave the Charlottesville area. And so I was at Richmond United for a year.
Okay. How did that happen? Like, if you weren't playing elite, right? Like, how are you making the jump over to a DA? How did that even come about?
I have a very persuasive father.
Sure.
And I had trained with a goalkeeper coach there. And he had known me from previous years, from when I was a little bit younger. I would train with him with the DA, of course, and that sort of thing. And so we had known each other for a couple years. I went in being the number 2 for that age group. It was U14, but then I fought my way in as the number 1, and so I spent a year there playing, and then I made the probably the biggest jump in my career was going from there to DC United. You know, as a kid, I would go to those games, watch Bill Hamid, and then going from watching Bill Hamid to meeting Wayne Rooney,
now,
you know.
Right? Bill Hamid playing in this league now, by the way.
Which
is great. You're playing in the same league as like this guy you grew up watching, which is kind of cool.
And for kids in the DMV area, he was a big deal.
You
know, he was with the national team. He was at DC for a long time. I remember watching, I don't remember who they played, but he had 3 PK saves in a row. Because he had the first save and they took it back because he was off his line, and that happened 3 times. And eventually they scored the PK. But I just remember, he had a big personality about him. He wore DMV on his chest. And so, going from a kid in Charlottesville then to going up to DC, that was a very big step for me. That meant I did have to leave my family. I went and did boarding school there.
Oh, okay.
So I left. I haven't.
How old were you at this point?
14.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I left home at a young age. I haven't really talked about that with my mom, how hard that was. But I'm sure, you know, it's just become a normal thing for us. I've been gone ever since. So I made that big jump, and I was there for 2 years. DC United, I think, was my first time I really got exposed to high quality players, high quality training, high quality expectations. The places before that, you could just show up, do your best, and then go home. But at DC United, you do your gym in the morning, you show up early, you do some video, you do great quality warm up, and then after you get your rest and you either do stretching and that sort of thing. And that's where I kind of learned that. And then with that, I learned how to manage time and all those other things that you kind of take for granted now. But at some point you have to learn it.
You're a 14, 15-year-old kid, and like you're in boarding school, like you're responsible for getting yourself to training on time. It's not about like whether your mom's going to like pick you up on time, right? Like it is the buck stops with you at that point at a very young age.
And I wasn't eating the cleanest probably when I first started.
I'm sure.
A lot of frozen meals and that sort of thing. But I think,
one thing at a time.
One thing at a time, you know. Did my laundry, and then, you know, the year after that I learned how to make food. But I think DC United was also a sign to my family that I really wanted to chase this dream. I had a big sit down with them, and they kind of said, how badly do you want this? Is this something you're willing to, you know, give up a little bit of your childhood for? And I think that's kind of a deep conversation to have when you're young, but those are the kinds of conversations you need to have with your family if you're going to make that big jump. And I looked my family right in the eyes and I said, I want to do this. And I'm going to need your support during all this, but you will get the best out of me every day when I'm out there. And so, DC United was, you know, it was also my youth, you know, a little bit. And it was good times. Living at that boarding school, I've made friends forever. You know, those will be my friends for the rest of my life. And so that was then the big jump from there, from, you know, the DMV and Virginia area, was from Richmond to DC.
Yeah. So you spent 2 years at DC,
2 years,
right?
yeah.
I assume playing quite a bit, or what was like the, were you
so-
fighting for time there, or what was the deal?
Yeah, my career is always just I just fight. You
Yeah.
know, I haven't really been given much in my soccer career.
Yeah.
I either come in as the number 2, or, you know, they say, hey, you're the number 1, but you're competing with another guy. And so I've never been the player or the person that a team has said, you're our guy for this year.
Yeah.
And so I came in fighting with, his name was Micah. He was U.S. national team and that sort of thing. And I just put my head down, kept quiet, and I worked extremely hard. And at the end of the year, I started getting more time. And then that led to my second year there, where I would get some good minutes, you know, here and there. But that allowed me, because of my dad, we would go to Germany in the summer, and because of, you know, the tape I had and the experience I had with DC United, that allowed me to get some tryouts over in Germany.
Yeah.
And then that's how I got over there.
Right, which then leads to Arminia Bielefeld.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
which I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of, but
It's not bad.
not bad. But it's August 2020, so is when you join officially.
During
So
COVID.
Yeah, during COVID, right? Which must have been like you're essentially on trial there that summer.
Yep.
Over COVID, and like that must have been odd
Yeah,
and
so
weird.
In 2019, I was doing the school part where my dad goes over and I go with him and we do school. I do school there. And I was training with the local team there. It's called Preußen Münster, which is, I think it's 3rd division now.
Okay.
And I was doing some trainings there, and I had a really good connection with the goalkeeper coach there. And my dad and we came to him with this crazy idea of, hey, we want to do like a 2-week period where we can get some tryouts in Germany and travel and see what happens.
Yeah.
And this is where my persuasive dad comes into play. And that ended up working out, and he got us 2 weeks of, I think I had 3 trials. So I had FC Köln, Leverkusen, and Arminia Bielefeld. And so I spent 2
Which were
weeks.
all Bundesliga teams at the time.
Yeah, at the time. The 2 out of the 3 are now Köln and Leverkusen, and then Bielefeld is in the second.
Yeah.
And so we spent 2 weeks doing tryouts there. The Leverkusen tryout was a rough one. They took about maybe 30 minutes, and they said, no, thank you. You know, very politely, very kind. But the Armenia and Köln experiences were very important for me, and they just treated me with so much respect as an American young kid. And Arminia Bielefeld said, "Hey, we like what we saw. We're gonna need you we need to see you for maybe a 2-week period." And so before 2019, before COVID, I went and spent 2 weeks there, and then after the 2 weeks, they offered me a spot for the next year. And so luckily, getting there was extremely hard because of COVID. I don't have a European passport. I don't have a German passport or anything. So we spent a lot of time at the Germany embassy in DC. And we had to, pull some plugs to get there. And my dad obviously had to move with me, which was a big sacrifice that he made and that my family made for my dream. And so the COVID experience in Germany was, I think, a little bit different than what Americans kind of went through during COVID. But yeah, so that jump from DC to Arminia Bielefeld was a tough one, especially, it's a big move, but also during COVID.
It's where it helps having a father who is a German lawyer.
Yeah, that
right?
does help. Yeah,
because there's a lot of red tape, and being an under 18 player is really challenging, right? Like, everyone I think knows like the Christian Pulisic story, right? But like he signs for Dortmund but can't go until he turns 18. You're going as a U18 player but without the passport, and it's like, I'm sure it's very, very messy and very difficult, and something that's probably difficult to get done without your father like knowing how to help navigate that space.
I think this may have changed, but when we did it, if you're under 18, you had to go because your family moved there for work.
Right.
And so my dad got a job. Obviously, it was for soccer.
Yeah.
But on paper, it looked like
Exactly.
He moved, so I went with him, and
Yeah.
then we happened to find a soccer team.
Yeah.
So that's what it looked like on paper.
Yeah, absolutely. As you got to navigate the navigate the red tape. So you get to Bielefeld. You're a 16-year-old. It's August 2020.
Yep.
You join their U17 team. Similar situation. They have Arne Scholz.
Yes.
Who is,
Wow. Yeah.
I've done my research.
Nice job, Will. Yeah.
It gets easier once you're at Bielefeld. Now I'm like, now there's actually articles about you. Who's a German youth national team goalkeeper at the time. So you're in for another fight. They've just been promoted to the Bundesliga, so the expectations,
A lot of buzz.
a lot of buzz. The expectations are high. What was that like initial transition? You've joined the U17 team full time now. Trials are over. What was that settling in process like?
I think it helped. I don't think I would have been able to go to Bielefeld if I hadn't spoken German.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big sell for them, that they didn't have to also teach me how to speak German. They knew they were going to have to teach me how to play soccer a little bit. But they didn't have to teach me how to speak German and the ways of Germany, and getting around and that sort of thing. And so getting there, the language transition wasn't too difficult. For any person that's bilingual, if you live and speak one language, it kind of comes back and it comes a little bit more naturally. And so that wasn't too much of a big change for me. That's where all the German movies and all the moving back and forth.
I mean, you're going to school in German at this time too. I feel like that's sometimes the harder bit is like, yeah, I can speak German, but like, can I like write German for like an academic
I struggle
paper?
with that.
Right. I'm sure that was hard. So.
Luckily, my dad, Yeah. But so that transition, I think it wasn't a pro contract, but in my mind, that was my pro step.
Yeah.
In this journey, the moment it was an academy contract, so they'd give you a little bit of money for the bus and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they'd get you free gloves. But when I got that was me in my mind saying, okay, I'm a pro.
Like this is like you putting a stake in the ground saying, like, I'm going for this now. Like I'm fully committing to going for this pro dream. So,
so I think that off the field stuff was kind of hard to manage. But on the field, it took a lot for me. The Germans have a specific style that they want their goalkeeper to be and play. And I just wasn't that,
Which is what? Give me a window into
Neuer.
what that looks like. Sure. Yeah.
Great with his feet, confident with his feet, high line. And then I think my build is, fits that kind of style. And I remember very vividly my first game was a preseason game against Hanover. And we were building out and we had like maybe 4 or 5 goal kicks in a 10-minute span, and it just wasn't doing what they wanted, and I had no idea what I was trying to look for. They were doing, like, if they had 4 in the back and we had 4 to play it long, and I for some reason just couldn't see it. And I kept playing short and we kept losing it. And they quit screaming at me and they just sent the assistant coach over and stood next to me for the rest of the half, telling me what to do. And I think,
I thought you were going to say they subbed you off.
No, luckily not. No, they gave me the game. They gave me the game and said, good luck, big guy, But Arminia Bielefeld, Arna included, but the coaching staff, I have my whole professional career to thank. That's all on them. They hired an ex-player, his name was Tom, as the U17 assistant coach, and he would do extra with me every day.
He was an ex-goalkeeper?
No, he was a midfielder.
Okay.
But we would do passing. We just worked on passing. Inside, laces, on the ground, in the air, working on your first touch. And I came to him and I said, can you help me with this? I'm struggling with this. And he said, absolutely. And they totally bought into helping me become a better goalkeeper and turning me into what they wanted. And I think the coaching staff there, Marcel, Tom, and then my goalkeeper coach, Sebastian, I have really my whole pro career it's from them.
Yeah.
I am the goalkeeper I am because of them. I do, the pride that I have in playing with my feet comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they knew if they brought me in, it would be a challenge. And I think they kind of wanted that a little bit. I haven't really talked to them about why they originally brought me in.
Yeah.
But I think they saw something in me, and luckily they were willing to help me through the hiccups. And obviously the Arna was someone I could just look up to my first year. He spoke perfect English, of course, and so he made me feel very comfortable there. But I mean, he was their superstar. He was their future. And so being able to see him train and play, I think definitely helped. And also it made me realize like he made mistakes and that's okay. And if you can kind of get over that hump of realizing like goalkeepers make mistakes, you watch the Premier League, it happens every weekend.
Yeah.
And that he was a national team guy, he had sponsors with Nike and all that sort of stuff. And so he would show up with all this, all the Nike swag and all that, but he would still, have good days and bad days.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they just brought me in with open arms. But they needed me to reach out to them. So they weren't going to go to me and say, hey, start doing this a little bit more. This is what you need to work on. They were waiting for me to come to them. And when I did that, then they knew I was all in.
Yeah. I think you got promoted to the U19s at some point.
Yeah.
It's obviously information about youth players is slightly unreliable.
It's probably in German a little bit.
The internet. Yeah, it's like, and in English as well, something I can understand. But it seems like pretty quickly in January 2021, you made the step up to the U19s. I'm just kind of curious what that looked like and why that move was made, and how you progressed in that time.
Yeah, I started training with the U19s when I was still a U17er, and that's because Arna was playing. And so I would start training with the U19s, and then I'd start training with the first team. And that was not playing. If you're not playing but training with the first team, that's okay. You're like, okay with that.
I'll take that.
Yeah, you'll take that. And the first team goalkeeper coach at the time, Marco, he's a legend in the goalkeeper world in Germany. He's helped a lot of young goalkeepers become prominent and set their feet in the Bundesliga. And he was also a great coach and person that helped me become who I am now as a player. And so, jumping up from the U19s was obviously the speed. It was a lot different. And then even from the U19s to the first team, it was a Bundesliga, I trained with them on a Friday before they played Bayern, and so if you don't hold that high expectation and that high quality of play, they will come at you, and they are not afraid. And at the time, Stefan Ortega, who's now at Man City, was there as the number one goalkeeper. And so it was just quality and great coaching all around me. Everywhere I looked, there was a coach willing to help, and there was a player that was playing at the highest level that they could be. And so that jump from, I think, U17 to first team I was not gonna lie, I was just scared. And
that is a big jump.
Yeah, it's a big jump. Those are grown men, guys that are getting paid real money,
fighting for their lives to stay in the Bundesliga, like real pressure. Like we've talked with a lot of guys in this podcast, like that moment where you jump to the first team for the first time and you like realize what like actual pressure is and what actual expectations are, because you can simulate it in the youth environment, but you can't reproduce it until you're in that first team environment and they throw you out of your first training session, or like the team's captain is like ripping you in the middle of a training session. So anyways, do you have any memories of just being like, whoa, I'm in over my head, and this guy's ripping me right now?
And I think they did a great job. They slowly worked me into the sessions. Okay. So I started off with sessions after games, where the guys that either played less than 60 or that weren't rostered or didn't play at all would train. And if they'd won the day before, the vibes were great. And so I think they did a great job of making sure I felt comfortable and I could perform to the best of my abilities. But at the end of the day, I think if in that kind of world, if those older guys just see that you're working hard and that you care, that's all they really need to see.
Yeah.
You know, because they know mistakes are going to come with young guys. They know, you know, the nerves and the jitters are going to be there. But if you're there working extremely hard, you're there first on the field, and you're there last, and you leave last, then they all, you know, they see that, and they kind of let those mistakes, you know, if it happens often, then they won't, but they let maybe 2 or 3 mistakes go. And luckily I didn't have that. I think they really worked me in quite nice. And then after a few months of that, then I could do maybe a Friday session before a game, or a midweek session.
Gotcha.
And whenever they needed, you know, if they needed extra service, they would bring me in. And then after, you know, after the sessions, they would just do shooting for 15 minutes, and I would just see balls whiz past me, you know, and like, good shot, guys. But yeah, I think that really just, and that also helped me from my jump from there to the Timbers, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But then training with the first team there a lot, that I was used to it. I was used to the pressure, and that jump to first team wasn't so big for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. I mean, like, all of this sounds pretty positive with Bielefeld. So how does it all come to an end?
Yeah.
I think you had a short stop at another German team in the between this, but yeah, how did that all happen?
Yeah. So Arno was just the guy, and I just wasn't gonna play. And so I moved to Halle, which is in the eastern Germany, near Leipzig. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Germany, but
I mean, I know the names. I don't know the geography.
Okay.
But yeah.
So it's in the east side.
Okay.
So so I moved out there, and I was there for 6 months, and I moved there because I was gonna play. So the first time in my career, they said you're the number one. And so I played for the first, I think I played the first maybe 8 games, and then we weren't doing too well as a team, and so they started making changes, and then that's when the Timbers reached out and offered me a T2 contract.
Yeah, because then you go there for 6 months, right? Because the European season is going to start that August. You're there for 6 months. Things are maybe not turning out the way you want. The MLS season is starting, and you get the opportunity to go to the Timbers, right? Which, you know, your grandparents are in that area. I'm sure that has a lot to do with. And I mean, how did the Timbers even know about you at the time? Like, how does it even happen? They're like, oh yeah, this kid is playing over in Germany. Like, let's go get him for the second team. Like, what is that recruiting process?
So when I moved from Richmond to DC, my dad emailed every MLS team, every first team and academy, and obviously he emailed the Timbers and got in contact with Coach Reese, Steve Reese, and so. Coach Reese knew of me when I was 14, and we just kept emailing them and kept tabs. And he's from the same part of Idaho that my dad was born and raised in, or was raised in. Yeah. And so they had that easy connection, and we had that connection as well. We knew the same parts of Idaho, and we could talk about that sort of thing. And so we just kept emailing them, and then when we emailed them and said, hey, we're looking for a move, they jumped on it right away, and they offered me a contract. And that was also when I was thinking about either going to college.
I was going to ask about that, whether college was an option at this time, because I mean, I want to remind people, we've been talking for a while about different stops, but like, you're 18.
Yeah,
like,
I was 18
where we are right now in the narrative, you are 18 years old. So like, this is college era.
So I was a senior.
Yeah.
So I was getting recruited. But in my heart, it was always going to just be pro for me. I was very lucky to have some great schools recruit me. And I went on some great visits. And I got to see what the college soccer experience could have been and what it is like. And a lot of guys here on the team went to college, and they have nothing but great things to say. But the moment I saw a pro contract, I think it was done deal for me. And it was a hard sell. Both my parents, my dad's a professor, my mom's a teacher, so school is their life. That's how they make their living. So that was a hard sell, but that was something that they knew I really wanted to chase after, and that was my dream was to be a pro soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they said, well, at least, try and do some community college. So, I try and I'm sprinkling that in when I can.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky that I got some great colleges that offered me. But the moment, I talked to Coach Reese, it was
a done deal at that point.
Yeah.
So you get there in 2023. You're 18, second team. You made one start that season. It was a 3-win win.
Yeah.
Over Sporting Kansas City 2.
Yep.
You were the backup for, I think, 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
Not, I think, 17 games. I know 17 games.
17.
I totaled it up in transfer market. So as an 18-year-old goalkeeper, seems pretty solid to start off, and you referenced maybe getting some first-team trainings in. So
yeah, not bad. I think they drafted a college kid the same year they signed me. And so I was 18 and I think he was maybe 23 when he got there. So as we've talked about through my whole career, I was going to be the number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also, they kind of said, you're just going to learn how to be a pro, which is interesting because I'm still learning how to be a pro.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest steps I made to being a pro was that first year. And if you're I'm not sure if you know much about, second teams in MLS, but if you're in the second team world, you do a lot of stuff for the first team.
Yep.
Whether that be extra sessions that they need for their players, or you do a lot of service, and so you're just in the first team world a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Portland, we had the same facility, and so we were in the same building as them. I was friends with a couple of the first team guys. My roommate was a first team player.
Okay. Who was it?
Nathan Fugacha.
Okay.
So I was friends with the Brazilians.
Okay.
They didn't speak much English, and I spoke no Portuguese. But somehow I was great friends with Nathan. And so
all vibes.
Yeah. Just music and food, basically. And so that jump, my first year was again a tough one, but I had signed a 2-year deal. And so I knew that my second year I would get more opportunities to play.
Yeah.
And that, I think that first year was just learning, and I did hours and hours of free kicks with Evander, who's now at Cincinnati, and just being exposed to that quality and that first team quality at 18, and then doing that also in Germany was just a great way to get prepared for the next year where I got some time.
Yeah, I feel like calling Evander free kicks first team quality is probably underselling it a little bit.
Yeah, it's Europe quality.
Yeah, considering he's legitimately one of, if not the best player in the league right now, and just consistently match winner for Cincinnati, just banger central.
He's doing great over there.
Yeah. So 2024, you're 19 years old, turned 20 halfway through the season.
Yep.
You made 9 league starts, so you do see a little bit more time. It seems like the second team wasn't particularly very good.
No, unfortunately not.
But you did get 1 outright win and then 1 win on pens. That's the one I want to ask about, because Transfer Market says you guys won 11-10 in penalties over Austin FC 2. This was your final start for Portland. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, so that was...
Because for those who don't know, MLS Next Pro has a rule where if you draw in a regular season game, you go to penalties for an extra point, kind of like how the Jagermeister Cup was this year.
But if you lost, you still got a point.
You still got a point, so you got 2 points for winning drawing and winning the shootout. So, but anyways, that's why you were in a penalty shootout.
Yeah, and that's tough, because if you play a great game, like we had a game against Austin that year, but in Austin. And we tied 0-0 and then lost in penalties. And that's actually a great result. A 0-0 tie in Texas in the heat.
And then you just the vibes are so down.
Yeah, because
now you feel like you've lost because you have lost a point. But
and so that's, and I had to get used to that a little bit. Some guys would start walking off the field after a tie and hey, we got another 15 minutes here. But so that my dad was at that game. That was one of those games where it was kind of every shot went in for both sides. So I think they had, what was this? It was
11-10.
Okay. I think the score was 3-3 though.
Yeah, I think, let me look at it. Let's pull it up. Pull it up on Transfer Market. Good podcasting here.
Keep you on your toes, really,
11-10 on pens. It was 3-3. Yeah.
So we had 3 shots, they had 3 shots, and they all went in. And we scored
good comeback, by the way. You guys went down 2-0 inside 10 minutes.
Yeah, we were down 2-0, and then we scored a late goal to tie it.
No, you guys were up 3-2 by halftime.
Okay.
And then they equalized in the 59th minute, and then obviously it cooled off from there, I guess. Yeah. And then I got
tired of scoring. You know?
Yeah, I do have the penalty shootout here. It's just like make, like just all the way through.
So their first 3 shots went in, and then their goalkeeper stepped up. The Austin goalkeeper took a pen and scored.
Okay.
And he came up to me, and he was one of those. I played him a couple times, and he was very confident and talked a lot of trash.
Sure.
And so he came up to me and said, "You take one." And he was talking trash. And I said, "No, man, I'll wait till the end." With a big smile on my face, I was like, "No chance." And so it went into
then you're sweating it a little bit because it goes pretty
I was
far.
Like,
you're like,
I
oh
might
my
actually
God,
have to do
I
it.
have to take this penalty.
And so it went into sudden death.
Yeah.
The shootout, sudden death. And so they scored, and then he made a save. And so he was celebrating, but the linesman raised his flag up. He was off his line. And so then we got to retake it. Our guy scored, and then I think the last one he missed. I don't think I saved it. I think Austin missed, and then a young academy kid at the time, Max.
Yeah.
I think he was 15 maybe at the time, scored the game winner.
Yeah, Max Eisenberg scored it. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like a win.
Especially as a goalkeeper, like you always want to make a save in a shootout, like it's your chance. So
I grabbed the ball a couple times out of the net that day, but
3 goals in regulation plus that, but sometimes you can't do too much, like especially penalties. Like if they put it in the top corner, or if they put it the other way, they put it the other way. That's just how it goes.
I mean, Raiko has taught me a lot about reading the body language.
Yeah, I mean, Raiko's exceptional at it, right? He just consistently either goes the right way, and I mean, even against Louisville, like he's gone the right way. He's gotten a hand to it, and it's gone in. 'Cause it's a good penalty, but what have you learned off of him?
Well, he does a good job of just he can do the trash talk and get in their heads, and I'm not very good at that. And so he does that very well, and he also just praises watching video. And in MLS Next Pro, you can do that, but the rosters are rotated so much. You know, you get academy guys, you get second team guys, and you get first team guys, and so you really never know who's going to take a pen. But in the USL and in the first leagues, you can watch which guys take penalties, what their routine is, if they change it and anything like that,
what their tendencies are, and
Maxie does a good job of that, making sure we watch that. And he writes it on a water bottle for us. You know, old school fashion with tape. I'm sure there's a easier way to do it, but he loves taping up the water bottle.
Did you see the England women's national team story from the Euros over the summer? The English goalkeeper during the penalty shootout against Spain, I think it was Spain, she grabbed the other goalkeeper's water bottle and threw it into the stands.
Really?
Because she had all the data taped on there. And she after the very first one, so she went up for her first penalty, and then she walked away because their bottles were kind of sitting next to each other, and she just grabbed it and gave it to a fan in the thing.
And nothing. The rest didn't say anything.
Nothing happened.
Okay.
Yeah. She said,
Who won that? Who won that?
She said they won.
Okay.
Yeah, because she never she didn't make any saves. So she didn't know where they were going because it was on her water bottle. She said her back was turned. They said it was hilarious. She said she was trying to not laugh because she didn't see her do it. And so the Spanish goalkeeper went up and came back and was looking for a water bottle and was confused, and she was trying to keep her cool, but that's hilarious. But none of I
haven't had that happen to me yet.
Yeah, but that's the dark arts you got to look out for, right? That's the type of thing Raiko would do. If Raiko had an opportunity to do that, he would 100%, no hesitation.
And I think that also helps, in that scenario, is if that were to happen, to then be able to read players, in that scenario, that goalkeeper is out of answers. And I'm sure she was relying on those that cheat sheet, if you want to call it that. Also that's why I don't really look at it too much. I was in PKs a lot last year, and we did video. We didn't do any of the notes or anything like that, and I just would go off a feel. And sometimes that works out. Especially I think if you have a good 90 minutes before, don't try and get in your head too much. Just trust your gut.
Yeah.
And in that league, you kind of know a lot of people know each other, so you can ask guys on the team like, where's this guy leaning towards, and that sort of thing. And it also, just I think trusting your gut then makes that save even a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. The only other thing in this year, apologies in advance to bring this up, but you got to start in the Open Cup, and you guys got upset by the Burrito Boys.
Those were grown men. Those were grown men.
This is El Farolito. They were the 2024 Open Cup darlings.
Yes, they were. Started with us.
Semi-amateur team, but unfortunately it started with you guys. They beat you in the first round.
That was so I had an injury my first year in Portland.
Okay.
I tore my PCL, and so I was out for almost, I think maybe 8 months. And so that was my first game since the injury.
Oh, gosh.
And
back to football.
Yeah, and we got a red card. Harvey Neville. He's the son of the coach who's there, Phil. And so he unfortunately got a red card, and that wasn't an excuse. They were killing us anyway. But that was real soccer. That was men's soccer. We were all. I was 19 at the time. We had guys that were 15 playing at 16, and those were 30-year-olds. No
mercy.
And it was a the fans came and did had the banners flying, and had they had the smoke out, and so they had that first team atmosphere. But we got a lot of crap from the first team players that week. They were like, oh, we should have played. So that was real soccer.
Tough.
That was a tough one. I think obviously the badge what we were wearing, the Timbers logo, you would expect us to win. And I think we were expecting that too, unfortunately. A lot of coaches and a lot of players preach, not underestimating your opponent. But I think we did that.
It's hard not to. I know it's such a cliche, right? Like, oh, this team plays down to their opponents, but it is genuinely so hard to get yourself up for a game when you know you have more quality, or you feel like you might have more quality, and it's just hard. It's an easier thing to say than it is to actually psychologically execute on.
And I had actually a pretty good game. I had some good saves and some good passing. It was just a big confidence booster for me after that injury. And the goalkeeper came up to me, and he must have been 5'8", tops. And in his broken English, he was like, "Good game, my friend." And so those were guys that had to go to work the next day. But our locker rooms in Providence, the stadium, the locker rooms are right next to each other. So I'm sure we heard them, and I'm sure that continued for the rest of the evening. Their celebration.
I'm sure they had a great time. There was a chance this year that we were going to draw them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were in the same pot, and I was really hoping we were going to get them just because I don't know. I run our social media. That would have been a social media gold mine, getting to play El Farolito, because everyone kind of loves them because of it. Do. But we didn't draw them, unfortunately.
Because they won 2 more games after. I think they
won one more game, and then they lost in extra time to a USL team in the third round.
Okay.
But they took them to extra time as well. So they were a good story.
So we weren't the only ones that struggled with them.
I think it was I don't know who else lost. It was another USL team that lost, but. So, anyways, that's the magic of the Open Cup. That's why it's a fun tournament,
it's a
right?
Great tournament.
Yeah. So then, time in Portland comes to an end. Your contract ends, and you're looking to move on. You referenced way back at the beginning of the pod that you were really thankful for Las Vegas Lights picking you up because it was a tough off season. Walk me through that in a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I think at my stage of my career, I'm still very young, not too experienced playing wise. And I think as any free agent, it's just hard to get a job somewhere. In that sense, it's kind of like any other job. It's hard. Once you leave a job, it's hard to get a new one.
And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but goalkeeping spots are just so limited.
Yes.
And it's just such a finite, we'll just carry another winger, whatever. We'll put 10 wingers on the roster and see
or
which one
another
hangs
center
out.
back
But it's you're maybe going to put 4 goalkeepers in the roster. More likely, you're only putting 3 on the roster.
And in the USL, a lot of teams only have 2.
Yeah.
Right. And
then because often they're going to have academies attached, and so
yeah.
the academies are going to be the guys that they're going to bring the third goalkeeper on. They're not
Yeah.
going to bring an external third goalkeeper.
No, and I think I had played, as you said, I played 9 games, and so I had a lot of film and I had a lot of confidence. I knew I was probably gonna have to do a lot of trials and travel,
Yeah.
and meet and see new teams, and it just, my agent got me some great gigs, some great opportunities, to go meet. This is also a part of the game, is just meet new coaches, and if it doesn't work out, that is what it is. I'm sure there's a bunch of reasons why it didn't work out. Some I can control, some I can't. But that's also just getting my name out there and meeting coaches. And if they see a positive version of you, then if another coach calls them, they have nothing but positive things to say. And so I spent a little bit of my off season stressing about it, but then a lot of it was traveling and trying to find a team.
Yeah.
And nothing stuck. And so I was back home, and then out of nowhere, my agent calls and says, "You like to gamble?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, Vegas just offered." And they had never reached out to us before. I hadn't reached out to them, and they called me and said, "Hey, this is probably what it's going to look like." And I said, "I am all in.
Yeah.
I'll be there tomorrow." And they, that they were so open and honest with me, which is very rare in this kind of world. And they, what they were saying was kind of hard to hear, that I wasn't going to play much, but they were honest. And they said, "You're not going to play much. You will probably get 1 game somewhere." And I kind of heard that, and I was like, they're being honest, and they're willing to give me an opportunity. And that's just been my whole career, is getting into the team and just putting my head down and working and fighting. And that's how my parents got to where they are. And that's just who I am, and that's just who the Millers are. And that's what we do. And so the moment they gave me that opportunity, I wasn't gonna disappoint them or let that go. I was gonna come here and do what I could on the field, and then obviously I then wanted to do more off the field, and also do what I could and leave Vegas better than when I got here. And so the moment, I talked to them, and a big thing was when Jose followed me. I'm a big baseball fan.
Okay, yeah.
We talked about this a little bit before the podcast.
Yeah.
My dad gave me the Cleveland Guardians as my team. That's where he was born. And so he passed that on to me. Luckily, we're not Browns fans or anything like that.
Just the Guardians.
Just baseball.
Yeah.
And so I grew up watching Jose, and watching him do that bat flip with a 3-run homer, and so him, he followed me on Instagram, and that was a very cool thing for me, mostly as a fan. And whenever I get to shake his hand or we get to talk, that's the little kid in me is also there, and so that was, and that also comes down to like why I'm so happy that I get to be here. He's building such a great culture here, especially outside of soccer in the community. The community really loves him and what Las Vegas Lights, what we're building here. And since he was a pro, he's coming from the pro world, and he was an incredible baseball player, so he wants to win. And I think if the owner wants that, then that's just going to trickle down, and everyone else is going to feel that and see that, and that's just going to spark more willingness to win in the team. And so I'm very grateful for them, for giving me a chance, and that's why I'm so thankful that that they could see me in the long-term process of this, and that they can say, "Hey, we see what you did this year, and we're going to commit to you a little bit," and that just it feels good in my heart. And that's just when someone in your workplace says you're doing good and you're going to get rewarded for that, that's a very it's a very kind and realistic moment of where you could be like, hey, that's what you worked for. And so that was very, I texted them and talked to them, and they were very excited that I was being able to come back. And I just said I'm very grateful and go Lights. So that was I was very grateful that they gave me this opportunity, and I'm excited that it gets to last for 2 more years.
Yeah. I mean, I think I speak for the whole fan base that everyone's really excited to have you here, and to speak for the front office as well. Everyone's really excited that you're going to be sticking around, and
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to the 2026 preseason.
Me too.
You never know what's going to happen. Roster wise, there's always a lot of movement in the USL world. So I'm looking forward to your opportunity at the beginning of 2026, and then again at the beginning of 2027, and continuing to see how your career progresses as a young player, both on and off the field. Final one for you.
All right.
I always ask this at the end of pods. We've just spent quite a lot of time going through your entire journey, all the way from a little kid in Charlottesville through to Germany, back to the Pacific Northwest, and now to here. Thinking back and talking through all of those stops, is there any one particular stop or experience that you think was really pivotal to your journey or really important to you in some specific way?
Well, first of all, great question. I think it's hard to really come up with one, but I think the Arminia Bielefeld, the 2 years that I was there, the massive commitment it took from my family. My dad left his wife and his daughter, and spent a year, 2 years away from them, and just that sign that they really believed in me. They always said that to me, and they continue to say that to me, but sometimes you just need a physical act to really see what that's like and what that means to them.
Absolutely.
And I think that big jump, and then that in Armenia, I just became the goalkeeper I am now. I put down the pillars and the framework of who I am now. And I think that was, I also learned some hard lessons there, of how hard it is over in Europe. But it made me a better player and a better man. And then it also allowed me to see how grateful and supportive my family is. And that support system around me is the only reason that I'm here. And I think that's the biggest thing a pro athlete can carry with them, the hard work and all that sort of stuff and the dedication, but a family and a support system around them. And if you keep that circle tight, then nothing can get in. And then you go through the ups together and you go through the downs together. And so, that stop in Germany was very special to me. And one of my best friends I met there. And it allowed me to live, as a kid, I wanted to play in the Bundesliga. And so I got to play youth Bundesliga soccer. And so I got to a little bit of that dream as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't sell yourself short. Still time.
Yeah, it's a great point, Will. Thank
Still time.
you. Yeah.
You're only 21 years old.
I know.
Well, Carver, congrats again on the new contract. Excited to have you here in Vegas. For all the fans out there, I'm excited to kick off Fan Appreciation Week with this awesome news that Carver's going to be with the club for 2 more years. Keep an eye on our socials. Get your tickets for this Saturday, October 11th, Kick Cancer Night right here at Cashman Field. Getting your ticket is the way that you're going to be entered into all the giveaways we have daily throughout Fan Appreciation Week. So from Carver and from me, thank you very much. And see you this Saturday.